is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to confront it head-on. Through persistence, we discover the power within us to overcome any challenge. This year, be determined to join the League of Homeowners and take advantage of the Adon Homes property listings as we journey with you to overcome looming challenges with our flexible payment plans and affordable product offerings. Stand your ground. Become a homeowner today. Subscribe to Adon Homes.
Building cities, communities, and homes.
From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. Six weeks after the gruesome murder of 17 army personnel in Okwama community of Delta State, the Nigerian military has lost 6 of its gallant men in yet another attack. This time to terrorists who laid an ambush for the soldiers in Shiroro local government area of Niger State, killing 2 officers and 4 soldiers. Now, the Director of Army Public Relations, Major General Onyema Nwachukwu, in a statement today, says the troops were ambushed while on a fighting patrol to Karaga village in Shiroro local government area. According to the statement, the troops from the 1 Division of the Nigerian Army were ambushed by terrorists on Friday, April the 19th, during which they fought gallantly through the ambush and eliminated several of the terrorists and has captured some of their equipment. Following the setback, the General Officer commanding 1 Division and Commander Operation World Punch, Major General Landa Saraso, on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff, has sympathized with the families of the dead personnel and assured them that the perpetrators will be brought to book. In line with military customs and traditions, the Nigerian Army Authority has already contacted the next of kin of the fallen heroes, while burial has been conducted for the late Muslim personnel with the consent and approval of their family members. The GOC said the troops are currently trailing some of the terrorists who survived and fled after the encounter and is therefore urging the residents of Niger State to go about their legitimate and lawful activities, reassuring them that the Nigerian Army and other security agencies will ensure their protection at all times. Meanwhile, at least 3 persons have been reportedly killed while several others injured as bandits invaded a market in Safe town, headquarters of Safe local government area of Zamfara state. An eyewitness account told Channels Television that the bandits stormed the market around 11 a.m. today and opened fire on the marketers. The spokesperson of the Niger police in Zamfara state, ASP Yazid Abubakar, who confirmed the attack to Channels Television, said the actual number of casualties in the attack is yet to be ascertained. Mr. Abubakar adds that the joint military and police forces were deployed to the scene to engage the bandits and normalcy had been returned to the area. And in Abia State, the State Police Command has arrested and placed under house arrest a corporal who shot and killed an Abia businessman. The State Public Relations Officer, Maureen Chinaka, in a statement says the police officer will soon face appropriate disciplinary measures. She expressed her sympathy to the victim's family and assured that they would be included in any future inquiries into the situation. On Wednesday, while driving home along Aba-Uwere Road, the victim, Mr. Emmanuel Okocha of Abriba in Ohafia local government area, was reportedly approached by policemen at a checkpoint who asked him for money, which he allegedly rejected. The businessman suffered fatal injuries after the trigger-happy police officer shot him during the ensuing altercation. He reportedly died on Friday night after being taken to a hospital in the state capital. Port Harcourt, the River State capital, is one of the cities in the country with strong economic viabilities. However, recent reports of political crisis and pockets of kidnap cases have raised some concerns in the state. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, in this next report explores the nightlife in Port Harcourt and its environs.
As daylight fades into darkness, individuals venture out for various reasons, seeking livelihood, fulfilling duty obligations, or simply unwinding after a day's work. Now, how safe is nightlife in Port Harcourt, given its significant economic contributions to the country? We begin our findings at the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital, where essential workers like Dr. Gilbert Dede face security challenges during their night shifts.
A colleague of mine was actually in a car where her phone and her purse was taken while she was going to work. You know, it was a very terrible experience for her.
We meet Mr. Hope Idozo, owner of multiple leisure sports, who attests to the improved safety of nightlife in Port Harcourt, although with extra security measures in place.
Lately, as you can see, there are lots of clubs, like new clubs and lounges and, and other businesses as well are thriving. A lot of people, I think it's very safe now. The police is doing a good job. There's the kidnapping rate and all that has dropped drastically.
To verify these claims, we venture out on a Friday night ride, encountering busy policemen on stop and search duties. However, our observation reveals inadequate security lighting in certain areas, posing potential security risks. Further insights come from Valentine Onwumelo, who is popularly known as the instigator of PH, who highlights a drastic reduction in kidnapping incidents, attributing it to government and police efforts.
As at 2006, 2007, when you had the militant issue, it was bad. It was very bad. Once it's 6 o'clock, there's no one outside. But for now, during the weekend's administration, things became better. Now the Fulbright is here now. I think it's much better though.
To understand law enforcement strategies firsthand, we visit Commissioner of Police Olatunji Disu, who, after taking us to the control room where emergency calls are handled, outlines initiatives to combat criminal activities and offers safety advice for nocturnal activities.
You must make sure that you rescue victims. You must make sure that also iron is being recovered. You must make sure that the hold-ons are being arrested in the command.
Things should be better by now because we have increased our presence in all bus stops. We have police officers moving around. Tell somebody before you leave home. Tell somebody where you are going to. Let your phone be available for you to call and for them to call you. Have the phone number of your police station. It is very, very important. All police stations have phone number. Have the phone number of the control room.
As the night begins to fade in, many are heading out to either make a living or perhaps have some leisure. In the words of the Commissioner of Police, be your own watch as well. While going out, be sure where you're hanging out. Also watch your side mirrors while driving to see who is coming behind you. Even as we hope and pray that one day Port Harcourt's nightlife will be as safe as today. From Port Harcourt, the River State capital, Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu will on Monday, April the 22nd, declare open a two-day African Counterterrorism Summit in Abuja. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Ajuri Ngalale, says the objective of the high-level summit is to enhance multilateral counterterrorism cooperation and reshape the international community's collective response to terrorism in Africa. With the theme, strengthening regional cooperation and institution building to address the evolving threat of terrorism, the summit will also focus on providing African-led and African-owned solutions to the multifaceted threat of terrorism on the continent. Expected to attend are heads of state and government across Africa, representatives of international organizations and multilateral institutions, including the UN Deputy Secretary General, Mrs. Amina Mohammed, members of the diplomatic corps, as well as civil society groups. The National Security Advisor, Madam Nuhu Ribadu, and the Under Secretary General of the United Nations Office for Counterterrorism, Mr. Vladimir Voronkov, will deliver the closing remarks. The summit is organized in partnership with the United Nations Office on Counterterrorism. Quality leadership is one of the primary ingredients in nation building. That's the view of the founder of Stanbic IBTC, Mr. Atedo Peterside. He raises concerns that more of what is seen now is selfishness by leaders across strata. Mr. Peterside revealed this while speaking with Channels Television's Susan Ilian.
All my efforts are concentrated largely in whatever I can do in several ways, some behind the scenes, to help to improve my country. I think in Nigeria there's a leadership challenge. I'm talking generally now, I'm not talking about one person. It's across the states, across local governments. So every day I do everything I can, and I've got other people, working with other people, to try and influence things in the direction of the type of improved leadership that Nigeria needs. Because that's the key. I know people talk about, okay, but you can only get good leaders if you have good followers. They may be right, but I beg to disagree. In Nigeria, there are many very good followers. The problem is leadership is not good enough. Let's call a spade a spade. And I'm talking about leadership that leads by example. It's too easy to make pronouncements that you don't live by yourself. I've said it repeatedly, and I'll say it one more time. Nigerians don't believe in do as I say, they believe in do as I do. If you are doing something yourself, they'll take you seriously and they'll buy into it. But if you're exempting yourself, exempting your family, living a sort of a profligate existence, they won't take you seriously. And that's not a presidential statement. It applies in local government, it applies in state governments. There are state governors that nobody takes seriously, even in their own states. There are state governors that almost everybody takes seriously.
For more on that exclusive conversation, please watch Amazing Africans tomorrow, Monday, April 22nd at 12:30 p.m. After several months of depreciation, Nigeria's currency, the Naira, has struggled its way back to recovery against major foreign currencies, particularly the US dollar. This development has sparked discussions on the implications for Nigeria's economic landscape. This report delves into the impact of the Naira's rebound against its peers, as well as on the country's economy.
The Nigerian Naira, like many other currencies, experiences fluctuations influenced by various domestic and international factors. After breaching the 1,000 Naira threshold for the first time at the official foreign exchange market on December the 8th, 2023, the local currency went on to lose 37.6% of its value in January 2024 alone, and had been on the steady decline against other foreign currencies for more than 2 months. But hope was not lost for the Naira, as the Central Bank of Nigeria swiftly implemented a series of policy measures in an effort to promote transparent pricing in the foreign exchange market and tackle liquidity issues. In response, the local currency unit made a rebound on its recovery effort, firming to 1,136 Naira against the dollar in the official forex market and 1,050 Naira at the parallel market on April the 15th, all the way from 1,830 Naira level, which it exchanged against the dollar in February this year. But are Nigerians feeling the impact of the local currency's rebound?
There are some people that buy when the dollar is at the rate of 1.6, 1.7, and now the dollar is at the rate of 1.1. You know, the goods is still there. So the way to sell, it will be a difficult thing. But we still thank God for everything. But we pray that the government will help us to make the Naira stable.
The effect of the rebound is going to come into June, July, or thereabout, so that by that time, the monies that people changed into the current rate that has come down, the ripple effect would have been coming into the market. But as it is now, it is a slight difference from what was like 2 weeks ago, because the monies that people changed to send abroad are still, the effect is still in the market. That's what I'm trying to explain.
So what needs to be done to ensure the local currency stability?
I still look forward to a positive move on the side of Naira against other currencies. By the time we'll begin to see positive moves from the real sector in terms of our production, You understand? By the time the likes of Dangote refinery starts full operation, and we can put an end to importation of major petroleum products, and we begin to buy in Naira within our own economy, that will reduce the demand of forex for those products that we import.
The CBN has said that it plans to collaborate with the Ministry of Finance to stabilize the exchange rate and implement inflation-taming policies. Economic analysts say the freefall of the Naira has helped fuel inflation to a nearly two-decade high in recent months and exacerbating the cost of living crisis and weighing on the domestic economy. Meanwhile, analysts at U.S. investment bank Goldman Sachs expect that the Naira will extend its gains beyond the 1,000 Naira exchange rate threshold. For now, that forecast is being awaited by Nigerians with much anticipation.
In part two, after the break, the Hallmarks of Labour Foundation celebrates Nigerians, Africans and other great achievers at its 27th anniversary and awards ceremony. Please stay with us.
Deodorant. With natural pearl extracts and avocado oils for soft, smooth and beautiful underarms. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care with delicate fragrances. Feel the power of pearls. Nivea Pearl and Beauty for soft, smooth and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
My skin is my identity, my strength. It's unique and deserves care made specially for me. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Even Glow, enriched with 95% pure vitamin C and pearl extract. For visibly radiant and even-toned skin in just 2 weeks. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Even Glow, for your shade of beautiful.
Do you know that you can now print all your essential items for events without even having to leave your home? It's the Cast Print Combo Deal for all events.
Yes!
Weddings, conferences, birthdays, burials, etc. Starting from 495,000 Naira only. You get 50 invites, 50 A2 size posters, 50 16-page brochures, 1 large backdrop banner, 1 roll-up banner, 50 jotters with pens, and 50 souvenir carrier bags. Whatever event you're planning, we can adjust to your budget and quantities. Just send your pictures and other information through WhatsApp, and we shall send a design for your approval. Approve your design, and we will produce with super high-quality digital print technology. We can even arrange delivery to your location. Call us now on 0913-156-5016 or 0812-794-9323 or visit our social media pages. Cast Prints, digital printing at super speed.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Terrorists kill 6 soldiers in an ambush in Shiroro local government area of Niger State as military authorities vow to bring perpetrators to book. Niger hosts African Counterterrorism Summit in Abuja amid increasing threats on the continent. Protests rock All Progressives Congress governorship primary as some candidates call for the cancellation of the exercise. And the United States House of Representatives approved $61 billion in new U.S. military aid for Ukraine to help combat Russia's invasion. One of the key takeaways for the Nigerian government at the end of the World Bank IMF spring meetings is how to diversify the nation's economy, improve revenue generation, and cut the costs of governance. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, and the Central Bank Governor, Yemi Cardozo, who spoke with journalists at the end of the spring meetings, explained that Nigeria has secured a $2.25 billion facility from the World Bank at a 1% interest rate over a 40-year period. Our correspondent, Sarah Achimugu, who has been covering the spring meetings, has this report.
The past few days has seen countries of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund giving reasons why countries must continue to redouble efforts to place their countries on the path of economic growth. The meeting is over, but the Nigerian government is speaking on the gains and its next level of action.
We have qualified for the processing just this week to the board of directors of the World Bank of a total package of $2.25 billion of what you can call, I mean, if there's no such thing as a free lunch, but it's the closest you can get to free money. It's virtually a grant. It's for about 40 years, 10 years moratorium at about 1% interest. So that also is part of the flow that you can count.
We had very productive discussions with leading international money transfer operators, IMTOs, where we collectively committed to doubling remittance flows through formal channels into Nigeria in the immediate short to medium term. This target is both ambitious and achievable, and we are wasting no time in setting up a collaborative task force reporting to myself to drive progress and address any bottlenecks that hinder flows through formal channels.
Both the Central Bank Governor and the Minister of Finance are assuring Nigerians of a balance from the monetary and the fiscal sides. This, according to them, will be backed by sound policies.
The issue of supply of foreign exchange to the Nigerian economy, the government is looking at attracting those funds and capturing those funds through a diaspora type of instrument, a diaspora bond. We think that would be a very attractive instrument for Nigerians abroad and for foreign holdings of foreign currency.
We do have a determined pathway and a sequenced approach to tackling all challenges ahead, working hand in hand with our key stakeholders, including investors, banks, businesses, and notably our counterparts on the fiscal side. I think the most important thing to say here is that we are doing everything possible to ensure that we have a stable exchange rate and an exchange rate that is that finds an adequate price discovery level.
The week-long spring meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund has been quite engaging. Discussions centered around building buffers to withstanding economic shocks and reducing debt burdens, as well as sustaining financial inclusion among member countries. Policymakers from Nigeria are hoping to match words with actions in the days ahead to improve the livelihood of many. From Washington, D.C., Sarah Achimugu, Channels Television News.
Earlier this week, the Bureau of Statistics, that's Nigeria's Bureau of Statistics, released the latest inflation report. Consumer price inflation is not only a measure of how fast or slow prices of goods change. Inflation statistics is vital in the decisions taken by private and public institutions. Tonight, Babajide Ogunsowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share insights on what a 33.2% inflation rate means. Obajide, great to have you again on the News at 10.
Good evening, Ayotunde.
So let's get into it. Of course, the central bank has kept increasing the monetary policy rate as a means of reducing rising inflation. Is there any proof that this is actually working?
In the short term, we still don't have proof that the monetary policy rate of change of monetary policy is significantly affecting inflation rates. But Ayotunde, there are three questions Nigerians are asking similar to this. The first question is, why is the monetary policy rate not really influencing inflation rates? And the answer is simple. Monetary policy as a tool globally cannot exclusively be used to bring down inflation rates. For countries that even use monetary policy rates, those countries often have what is, in economic terms, are classified as efficient markets. Does Nigeria have an efficient market? The answer is no. And so the monetary policy rate is not the El Dorado. We cannot legislate inflation rate to come down. So that answers the first question, which is, why is the monetary policy rate not bringing down the inflation rate? The second question Nigerians are asking is, now that inflation is 33.2%, Nigerians are asking, when will inflation come back to single digits? And I'll give you the answer, Ayo. The way to approach this is to understand, when last did Nigeria have inflation as high as 33.2%? The answer is in our history books, March 1996. Before March 1996, which other period did Nigeria have inflation rate as high as 33%? Again, our history book tells us 1976 and 1977. The insight here is, in 1996, when we had inflation rate as high as 33%, 1976 and 1977, we had military rulers. General Sani Abacha in 1996, General Obasanjo in 76 and 77. The point I'm making here, Ayotunde, is that never in Nigeria's history have we had a civilian president govern when inflation was as high as 33%. In simple terms, President Tinubu is Nigeria's first civilian president that has a responsibility of bringing inflation down when it is as high as 33%. So whatever happens, this clearly will be a case study not only for Nigerian universities, for international universities, good or bad. Now, to the third and perhaps most important question, what should the government be doing next? And even though the government, yes, has made a lot of positive efforts, what is important is for us right now to have a reliable database of farm produce. In simple terms, what I'm talking about is we need to know who produces what, where, in what quantity, and when. That reliable database of farm produce will clearly allow us to make plans into the future about how to clearly manage the rising prices of food, which clearly is a significant reason why inflation is going out of control. Now we've sorted this out, the next thing is for us to clearly understand what these numbers mean. And in looking at how a lot of people have interpreted these numbers, a lot of these interpretations are wrong. And I'll explain why, Ayo. Listen carefully to this. Two figures, as an example, 10% and 20%. We need to make a distinction between the rates of value change and the rate of percentage change. And I'll explain what I mean. 10% to 20%, that's a difference of, in terms of value, 10%. But in terms of percentage change, it's 100%. And I'll explain what I mean. If you were to take a loan of 100 naira at an interest rate of 10%, the interest you'll have to pay back will be 10 naira. If I were to take a loan, same loan of 100 naira, and I were to pay an interest of 20%, the interest I'll have to pay back will be 20 naira. In simple terms, my interest payments will be double yours. And so we need to understand that 10% to 20% in terms of value is 10%, but in terms of percentage change, it is 100%. So tonight, I'd like us to take a look at a concept called how much is Nigeria's inflation rate inflating? In simple terms, how much is the strength of this inflation? And yes, if you look at the numbers we have today in March, 33% inflation rate compared to what it was last year in value terms. However, in percentage terms, it is 51%. Again, using the example I told you, looking at what it was in percentage terms this time last year and what it is this year. And so 51% is how much is Nigeria's inflation rate inflating, the test of the strength of inflation, 51%. Those numbers are extremely there for the common man. And so 33% allows us to see it on an annual basis. However, for us to test the strength of the inflation, again, how much is Nigeria's inflation rate inflating? That is the answer in front of you, 51%.
So, Robert, let's talk about the issue of pricing now. I mean, how much are prices rising in of course, in the world's more developed economies? You talk about issues such as changing global trade dynamics and what have you. What can you tell us about that?
So you're correct. The changing global dynamics, geopolitics, is potentially and actually disrupting trade flows. We could take a look at it in very many ways, but one way to look at it is how much is inflation affecting the world's most populated countries? How much impact are citizens feeling from the rising price of living? In simple terms, people call the situation we face globally a cost of living crisis, chaos everywhere. So if we take a look at the top 10 countries in the world that have the highest population, to find out how different is Nigeria from the rest of the world in terms of countries with the sort of populations and even higher, we find that Nigeria still is an outlier. India, China, annual rate of inflation 4.8%. In China, less than 1%. You heard me clearly. In the last 1 year, average prices of goods in China have risen by less than 1%. In the US, 3.5%, Indonesia, 3%, Pakistan, approximately 21%, Nigeria, 33%, an extreme outlier. Brazil, Bangladesh, Russia, Mexico, all annual inflation rates of less than 10%. So clearly, if you look at what is in front of you, Nigeria's current consumer price inflation stands significantly apart from the average of the top 10 most populated countries, and even significantly higher when we look at what else is going on along developing countries. But I tell you, yes, it is. But here's why this is important. You know, the inflation rate is a measure of price stability. Price stability is a measure of your income stability. Your income stability is a measure of your survival stability. And if you ask millions of Nigerians, your survival stability is a measure of your family stability. So the right question we need to ask ourselves is, if families are unstable, can the country be stable?
Which brings me to the last question, of course, the outlook for inflation. What is it going to look like for the second quarter of the year?
There's some good news, but there's some bad news, Ayotunde.
Which should we start with?
Let's start with the bad news.
Go ahead.
Tonight isn't about talking about the performance of the former president or the current president. We'll do that in another 40 days, and we'll do that extensively. But I'd like to share an important fact with you. In President Buhari's 8 years, that's 96 months, never in those 96 months did food inflation, you heard me right, food inflation measured month-on-month basis, never did it exceed 3%. It never even got to 3%. Based on the National Bureau of Statistics report, let's take a look at what food inflation has been only in the first 3 months of this year. And in their report, they show that in January, food inflation 3.2%, February 3.8%, March 3.6%. Politically, these are not the sort of numbers President Tinubu would love to see. Again, because his predecessor had 96 months, and in none of those months did food inflation on a month-by-month basis hit 3%. All right, Tunde, here to the good news. You know, a wise man once said, and listen carefully to this, he said, hunger we get hope, no they kill person. I'll repeat that again, hunger we get hope, no they kill person. So a lot of Nigerians still have hope. However, the question that we need to now ask ourselves is, how much hope does a common man still have? Ayotunde.
That's a big question, of course. How much hope do we have? I mean, of course, when you're not battling with hunger, there's still a big chance of survival.
But never forget,
you were trying to say.
Hunger, we get hope. No, they kill person.
We'll leave it at that. Babaji Dogiso, thank you so much for your thoughts on the News at 10.
The pleasure is all mine.
Still ahead on the News at 10, U.S. House approved.
It's a fast beat, unpredictable and full of surprises. The unforgettable moments, unprecedented passion, the victories and defeats in the world of sports makes it engaging. Fasten your seatbelts as we take you through every update in the news and on our shows. We define the moments of true sports. Join us.
There are places you would like to go. There are faces you would like to see.
My palm is bruised. It's a tiny scar, but it's very painful.
Too many exciting things happening all at once.
From time I've always loved playing the villain.
But you can't be everywhere. Guess what? Yes, we can. Your favorite lifestyle content lives here. Let us be your eyes and ears here on Entertainment News on Channels Television.
Governorship primary, which took place across the state on Saturday. Meanwhile, some members of the All Progressives Congress in Akure are protesting what they describe as irregularities and biased conduct of the governorship primary which took place across the state, of course, on a Saturday. Now, the ward primaries meant to produce the governorship candidate of the party has been marred with non-availability of election materials, and some of the aspirants are already calling for the cancellation of the exercise.
It was a broad daylight robbery, a monumental disaster. APC sent some delegates here to conduct a primary election. Apparently that was never done. They remained in Akure here at a hotel and started writing results. They wrote the result of 203 wards all across Ondo State, writing the mandate, taking the mandate of the people into their own hands. At the end of the day, we started seeing different results flying around, stating one particular candidate won the election. And that never happened. In the whole of 203 wards in Ondo State, there was no election at all. There was a guideline of what to do during the election, membership register, electoral officers, member being accredited, none of them. No electoral officer, no membership card, no membership register. In all the 203 wards in Ondo State. No accreditation. No whatsoever. Not at all. Not at all. Not as the manipulated result. No accreditation, no election anywhere. The electoral material will be distributed early in the morning. Our people were already there by 6 in the morning. Yes. And they were there till around 10. Nothing was demonstrated. When the governor of Kogi State, Ododo, came out to talk to them, he said the electoral material has been distributed. When? How? To who? To who? How? You said it at night, in the morning, you said it has been distributed. To who? When? Who signed for it? It's very unbelievable.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives member for Ondo East and Ondo West Federal Constituency, Honorable Biola Makinde, says the turnout for the APC primaries across Ondo State was impressive. Speaking on our political program, Sunday Politics, Honorable Makinde explains that all concerned parties in the exercise can attest to its peaceful conduct.
We had a massive turnout of voters coming in to vote for the right choice of the aspirant. So the whole exercise was good. The police, the law enforcement officers were around, the INEC observe and monitor the exercise throughout. And this is an election where all the card-carrying members of APC were called to actually choose their candidate. And the whole thing went very well. I was there myself. I voted in Ondo West, Ward 7, and the turnout was massive, and it was good. And so once we don't have such a record from the law enforcement, and we don't have any such records from INEC as well, and even us who are voters, I don't know where they're coming out from.
Rewarding excellence through hard work by identifying role models that can inspire for success as motivation for the hallmarks of Labour Foundation. This formed the thrust of the 27th Anniversary and Great Nigerian Awards 2024 by the Hallmarks of Labour Foundation, which held at the Oriental Hotel in Lagos. Amongst the awardees are the Minister of Health, Ali Pate, former Minister of State for Petroleum, Adon Homes, and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyema. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
An assembly of achievers make up the awardees and invited participants as the procession mounts the podium to the orchestral music by students of the Musa School of Music. The voice of broadcasting aficionado, Femi Sholu, lights up the event. As former Secretary General of the Commonwealth and Chairman Board of Trustees of Hallmarks of Labour Foundation, Chief Emeka Anyaoku bids the guests welcome, followed by the Executive Secretary of the Foundation, Patricia Ochodo-Narawe.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am truly delighted to welcome all of you to this 27th anniversary celebration of Hallmarks of Labour Foundation. And importantly, the awards to our citizens whose character and achievements have made them role models to our young, upcoming Nigerians.
With you here tonight, it is clear that Nigeria is truly a great country. It doesn't matter what anyone says about this country. We in Hallmarks of Labour Foundation believe that Nigeria is great. And clearly, this man here, in addition to our role model, has proven the point.
The categories for the 27th Anniversary and Role Model Awards are in the fields of science, medicine, law, media, education, leadership and good governance, entrepreneurship and corporate governance. Presentation of awards gets underway with the recipient of the HLF Role Model Award for outstanding contributions in the field of science, Professor Christian Happy, presented by Chief Emeka Anyaoku. Next is the HLF Award for Excellence for Outstanding Contributions to Research, Innovation and Value Chain Development towards Food Security, received by Professor Baba Yusuf Abubakar. Students of the Musa School of Music serenade the guests further. Also receiving an award is Professor Rukayatu Ahmed Rufai for the HLF Role Model for Consistent Advocacy for Education for the Girl Child. The HLF Award for Excellence in Leadership and Good Governance goes to Ambassador Adon Homes, while Barrister Nnamdi Mbanefo receives the HLF Lifetime Achievement Award for exemplary courageous service to the advancement of the legal system. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, reads the citation for awards presented to Basharu Jayekofola Randall and Ambassador Jeffrey Onyema.
Is a highly respected chartered accountant in Nigeria, a prolific writer, public affairs analyst, and a philanthropist by excellence.
Professor Umaru Pate receives the Christopher Collade Award for Excellence in Leadership and Professionalism in the Media. presented by Chairman Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo. Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, Minister of Health, receives the Role Model Award for outstanding contributions in the field of medicine, with Professor Adeola Oguni. And the Young Achievers Award for the Best Performing School in the West African School Certificate Examination 2023. Photo ops in the moment of good cheer after the presentations, and reactions from some of the awardees.
It's nice to be, rewarded or given an award for whatever small contribution. It's obviously a small contribution because there's still so much to be done in the country. The country is in a bit of a mess. And so whatever contributions one has made is just adding a little bit to growing our nation. And it's everybody's hand that has to be on deck, both those in government and those not in government. We can't just point to the president and say the president is responsible. He's not. We're all responsible for making Nigeria a great country, which it can be.
We feel very happy, and we have received this award numerous times, and I think that this should just be a form of greater joy for them.
Hallmarks of Labour Foundation was established in 1996 to, amongst other objectives, identify Nigerians and others of the black race whose achievements benefit society, and use these achievements of the role models to show that success through honest labour is rewarding and fulfilling. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
The first phase of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative will be delivered before the end of this year, with 600 buses targeted. The Special Advisor on Information and Strategy to the President, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, who disclosed this in a statement, says the first set of 200 buses will be delivered before the first anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration on May the 29th. He notes that 100 conversion workshops and 60 refueling sites spread across 18 states will also be ready before the end of the year 2024. Mr. Ononuga revealed that the first set of critical assets for deployment and launch of the CNG initiative will be delivered before May the 29th. Under the initiative, the federal government targets to get at least 1 million natural gas-propelled vehicles on the roads by the year 2027. According to him, while the government has provided the sum of 100 billion naira for the initiative, the private sector has responded with over $50 million in actual investments. He says 80 natural gas vehicle conversion and associated appliances standards are being developed for the country, in addition to the development of an app, mycng.ng, for proper monitoring. Future Past is a solo exhibition by multifaceted artist Tejumola Adenuga. Artist presents over 30 minimalistic drawings and more in a solo show. This exhibition took place at Art 21 Gallery in Lagos. An intriguing personal journey from the old to the new is told in over 30 pieces of work presented by multidisciplinary artist Tejumola Adenuga in his solo exhibition titled Future Past at the Art 21 Gallery in Eko Hotel and Suites, Lagos.
This show is it's kind of self-descriptive. It's a amalgamation of my past, growing up in Ijebode and then moving to London as a teenager. And as a person, as a product of two worlds, I'm trying to find a way to bring them together. And I'm bringing them together on this fictional context, which is where this work has kind of generated itself from.
Alongside the pieces are balloons, which form part of the childhood and contemporary memories merged to create this fantasy world where everything works for the creative.
To be honest with you, the artwork put together that is depicting and explaining all what he has actually written on the wall there so much make a sense from all what is put together in drawing and painting, it's make a whole lot of sense. And that with the balloons, people, not only kids, I see adults there too, trying to make a whole lot of fun out of it, and with the space where they are, they're trying to make life out of it and, relating with one another.
The monochrome pieces fused with the culture and creative tribute done with a minimalistic approach have struck a chord with the audience.
What comes through for me in this works is the way he's been able to define the images using as little distortion, if you will, of the white space as possible. So it's sophisticated, it looks very clear, and I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
The multidisciplinary artist and designer, who is based in London, is encouraging people to dare to dream and be happy regardless of the challenges life throws at them. Welcome to Sports News. Rivers United FC beat league leaders Enugu Rangers 2-0 in match day 31 of the Niger Premier Football League played this evening at the Adoke Amiesimaka Stadium in Port Harcourt. Lobby Stars moved second despite the goalless draw against Bandit Insurance. Just 2 points separate Rangers and the Makurdi-based team. The Sunshine Stars were held to a goalless draw by Enyimba International. Our Pillars are the biggest winners of the day with a 4-0 thrashing of bottom-placed Gombe United. Plateau United, Katsina United and Kwara United all enjoyed home victories earlier today. In England, Manchester United FC overcame an astonishing collapse to beat Coventry on penalties in an FA Cup Classic this evening, setting up a second straight final clash against city rivals Manchester City. The championship side roared back from 3-0 down and had the early advantage in the penalty shootout at Wembley, but Callum O'Hara and Ben Sheaf failed to convert, leaving Rasmus Højlund to slot home the winning spot kick 4-2. The game perfectly encapsulated a chaotic season for Eric Ten Hag's men, who are well off the pace in the English Premier League and had a UEFA Champions League campaign to forget. It was a busy Sunday with winners emerging in the finals of the Stuttgart Open, the Barcelona Open tennis events and the Chinese Grand Prix. Here are the updates on how these events played out earlier today.
In Stuttgart, fourth seed Elena Rybakina beat Ukrainians Marta Kostyuk 6-2, 6-2 to win the WTA at Stuttgart in 1 hour 9 minutes. The 2022 Wimbledon champion broke Kostyuk twice in the first set and twice in the second, fighting off 3 break points from the world number 27 to lift her 8th career title.
Prize title number 3 in this extraordinary 2024 season for Elena Rybakina. What a performance that was from start to finish today. And then Roland Garros in just over a month's time from now. But Rybakina can just celebrate and pose for a few photos before making the trip over to Madrid.
Elsewhere, world number 6 Casper Ruud defeats Stefanos Tsitsipas 7-5, 6-3 to win the Barcelona Open.
That's a good sign for Ruud. And I thought
the Norwegian earned revenge after his defeat by the Greek world number 7 in the Monte Carlo Masters final last week to reclaim the biggest trophy of his career.
It's deep, and he's done it. It is the biggest title of Casper Ruud's career, his first ATP 500 trophy. This one's been coming, and that will feel good.
The race in Shanghai begins in 5 lights time. The Chinese Grand Prix is underway, and Max Verstappen gets the launch.
Max Verstappen rounds off a dominant weekend with a victory in the first Chinese Grand Prix for 5 years earlier today to extend his World Championship lead a day after ramping to sprint victory.
If you're thinking who
The three-time world champion was again in a league of his own as Formula One returned to the Shanghai International Circuit for the first time since 2019, finishing 13.7 seconds ahead of Lando Norris, with Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez third, a further 6 seconds back.
Destroyed the field once more. The Dutchman leads home Lando Norris. 2 Red Bulls on the podium thanks to Sergio Perez.
9-time Olympic gold medalist Carl Lewis is looking forward to a fabulous sprint competition at the Paris Olympics, where he expects organizers to pull out all the stops.
The thing about sprinting now, it's their time, and I love it. I work at the University of Houston, so I'm working with athletes. I just think that I don't try to integrate all of us, but I'm really happy to see the kids running hard, running well. I'm glad to see that the sport, or the events, actually the sprints, are more global. There are more people from around the world. I think it makes it better, and I think it's going to be a tremendous competition.
Lewis, who established himself as an Olympic force when he won 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, and 4x100 meters relay gold at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, is pleased to see athletes from a range of nations challenging in the sprint at the highest level.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed his gratitude to the U.S. House of Representatives for approving a new $61 billion package of military assistance for Ukraine after months of delays, saying the aid could save thousands of lives. While it's not uncommon for a country's future to be decided by politicians, a nation's very existence hinging on a vote 5,000 miles away is as extraordinary as it sounds.
The long-awaited vote on the latest aid for Ukraine happened on Saturday evening on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives as Democrats and Republicans banded together after months of controversies.
The yeas are 366 and the nays are 58. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Prior to voting session, heated arguments took place as members from Democrats and Republicans voiced out their opinions on the passing of the package.
The House is in the committee of the whole House on the State of the Union.
Republican Representative Keith Self said the EU can do more for Ukraine, criticizing the lack of political will in the Union.
The European Union is 9 times that of Russia's. Their population is 3 times that of Russia's. The European Union can do more.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his gratitude for the package, saying the assistance would save lives and bring a just end to the war with Russia.
NATO defense ministers have agreed to step up and provide further military support.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the significant boost in aid would supplement the tens of billions of assistance being provided to Ukraine by European allies. Just last year, U.S. President Joe Biden proposed a $95 billion package, with over $60 billion to be allocated to Ukraine, $26 billion to Israel, and $8 billion to the Indo-Pacific region, specifically Taiwan. However, the package was blocked in the U.S. Congress multiple times since the last quarter of 2023. Republicans concerned about the scale and effectiveness of the Ukrainian funding, with many calling for more aid for domestic border security instead. Russian authorities have claimed that supplies only prolong the armed conflict and will not stop Moscow from achieving its military goals.
And the main news again. 2 military officers and 4 soldiers have been killed in an ambush by terrorists in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. The military authorities in a statement said the soldiers were killed while on a fighting patrol on Friday and have vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you.